Hello, here in this video we're going to be looking at our linear equations review. Alright, and this is the page that I had given us. Alright, it looks like this. It was landscape style. It's going to have the three different types of equations: slope-intercept, point-slope, and standard form, all presented here for us. Alright, so we'll start off with slope-intercept, where we know that m is our slope, b is our y-intercept. And we always express this y-intercept as 0 for our starting value for our x-coordinate, comma, and then whatever that b value was, so whatever that number was there. Okay, so here's how we would go about graphing this type of equation anytime we have slope-intercept. First step is to plot our y-intercept. So what that means for us here is that we would go on our y-axis. For this example, we're going to our 0, 3. Right, so in this case, so it'll kind of say the generic step. So the first step is always to plot our y-intercept. So in this case, on our y-axis, we're going to that 3. Right, second step is to use slope. Right, and we talk about slope in our rise over run format. Right, that's what we're going to need to use there. So in this case, it looks like we're going to need to we have a -2 for our rise. So we're going, so we'll talk about this. We've got the -2 for our rise, right, and we have that 5 for our run. So for us, we're going to start from that y-intercept, right? So we need to go down 2 to the right 5. Right, so in order to plot this line, we're going to need to do this. We go here to our y-intercept of a +3. Right, so right there. All right, then using my slope, our rise over run, I need to go down 2 to the right 5. So down 2 to the right 5. And this would be on my second coordinate point. Now, I don't have a straight edge tool on this one, but we would connect these, right, using the straight edge. And that's how we graph things in y equals mx plus b form. It's got our y-intercept, and then we use our rise over run to plot that other point, starting from the y-intercept, right? So notice how I went to this y-intercept and then went down to the right 5. Okay? Now for us here, our equation in point slope, m, is still telling us our slope. All right, and this x1, y1, this is our coordinate point that we are given. All right, that's important information there for us as well. All right, so now to graph this, here's what we're going to need to do whenever we're graphing from point slope is first we need to identify our coordinate point. My advice for this was always to think opposites. Now the reason for this is look at the formula. There's a y minus a y1, an x minus an x1. That means when I'm going here to identify my coordinate point, I need to think about if this is x minus 4, knowing that this negative came from the formula, it's going to have to be taking the opposite of the number that I see. So if x is with a -4, I need a +4. If y here is with a -3, I need a +3. All right. So once we have that, the second step in this is plot the point and then use the slope. Right, so here in this case, we plot our point at 4, 3, and then we're going to use that slope of, our slope here is 2. Right, we can see that from this equation, which tells me I need to go. So let's talk about this in terms of our rise over run. So for us here, if I just see a number up top, we can always put that over top of a 1. So here for us for this slope, I need to go up 2 to the right 1 from this coordinate point, right? So I'm going to plot my coordinate point of 4, 3. All right, we have that right there. And then for the rest of my information, I need to go up 2 to the right 1. All right, now I'd recommend doing this pattern a couple times to give yourself some more coordinate points to work with there. So continually going up 2 to the right 1. Notice how we don't know what our y-intercept is going to be. That's okay. When we're graphing from point slope, right, all we need is that coordinate point, and we need to use that slope. Now you could continually make coordinate point slopes here, right? So if I could go down to and to the left one, we could do this a couple times to continue to get the rest of my line. We see that we have a y-intercept of -5 there. All right, not information necessary to us for this particular case. All right, I'm going to have a hard time drawing my line through this. But we kind of see that we take our straight edge and draw that line out there for us. And I'll try again. Not great, so I'll leave it right there. All right, be sure to use that straight edge for us on that. All right, so there's the first two types of equations we learned about. Slope-intercept, using our y equals mx plus b, and our point slope. Now, standard form, where ax plus by is equal to c, where it says where here, where we are looking for our x-intercepts. Let's see, let me make some adjustments here. All right, where we are looking for our x and our y-intercept. And here's how we do this. To graph it, we're going to find that x and the y-intercept, right? So I'm going to divide this up into our two different segments here. So for my x-intercept, I know that it's always my number that I'm looking for, comma 0. Because if I'm on the x-axis here, right, here's my x-axis, my x-intercept, I've gone nowhere up or down. I have 0 for that y-coordinate. And it was the opposite for the y-intercept. See if I can get this all to fit here on one line. But for my y-intercept, that's where it's always going to be 0 in the x direction. Because if here I'm on the y-axis for my y-intercept, notice how I've gone nowhere to the left or to the right, nowhere in the x direction. And then we're looking for that number there. So the way we find this is using this 0 here, we are going to know that if I take the 0, plug it in for my y, for my x-intercept, this whole piece is going to go away, right? Plugging in 0 here for y makes this whole piece go away, leaving me with just left over as 3x is equal to a 12. Right, and I'd be able to divide both sides by 3 there to figure out that this x-intercept is at a 4. Now here for our y-intercept, since my x-coordinate is 0, 3 times 0 is 0. This highlighted piece would go away, leaving us left over with just a -4y is equal to a 12. And when I divide both sides by that -4, we get that our y-intercept will be equal to a -3. So using this to plot our x-intercepts of 4, 0 and our 0, -3, we can plot these 2 points. So I go to 4 on the x-axis for my x-intercept. We go to -3 on the y-axis. And those would be the 2 coordinate points that we would need to draw our line through that information. Right, so this kind of serves as a nice outline to remind us how these 3 different forms work. Right, slope, intercept, point, slope, standard form. Understand at least the 3 components, how to graph given the different types of information.